Pregame.com.
Thursday night NBA Finals, Game 2, Heat Thunder. Scott, congrats to you. You had the Thunder in Game 1. I was on the other side in that one.
Oh, in that case, easy winner. No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
Okay. All right, but you're going to have this one, so we'll let you start this one off. This is going to be your free pick, and I got a lot to say in defeat.
I'm going to pay for that comment.
Yes, you are. Anyway, that lucky win you got, but go ahead.
Yeah, you know what? It was closer than the final score indicated, obviously, that 11-point final score. And it's been funny the way that the public and the media, the non-betting media, have jumped on, Oklahoma City's too good for this team. Miami's got too many holes. I've seen tweets. I've heard radio shows of people calling in saying "La Brick, La Choke." I'm like, come on. If I'm running an NBA team starting tomorrow, the first player I take is LeBron James. But in this particular game, I thought the second half of the third quarter and most of the fourth quarter, Miami gambled too much on the defensive end, trying to create turnovers. And when they weren't able to do so, when you gamble, you're going to leave somebody open to get to the basket. So Oklahoma City, even if they didn't score on layups, all of a sudden found these open shots for most of the fourth quarter because of too much defensive gambling by Miami in that last quarter.
Well, what I saw, too, is the Thunder, they are quick. This team is super quick. And how many times did Miami go down the floor and they tried to get it inside, and the Thunder just, slapping the pass away, beating them to the pass. I felt Miami, and this was a concern, and I know a lot of you guys that were on the Thunder, definitely would have talked about it, that, having to go 7 games was a concern for Miami. And the final 7-8 minutes of the game, they look like a tired team to me. And a tired team loses their legs, and they lose their jump shot. And Miami, just bad shooting in the fourth quarter. And when are we going to stop blaming LeBron for everything that happens with the Heat? How can Dwayne Wade keep getting a free pass in what's going on? LeBron didn't lose Game 1. Where was Dwayne Wade? Did you see him?
No, and the same thing happened when LeBron scores 30 or whatever it was in the first half against Boston in an elimination game for Miami, Game 6 up in Boston, finishes with 45 points and 15 boards, Wilt Chamberlain-type playoff numbers. And the same people who say things like LeBron's a LeBrick or whatever else, or he's a choker, none of them came back and said what a great game he had. So it's a prejudice developed by LeBron, what he did, of course, when he thumbed his nose at Cleveland, so to speak. And I don't mean a racial prejudice, but I mean a prejudice for the way he did it in the media. And in our business, we have to stay away from getting caught up in that stuff and have to judge on just what happens on the court. You're right. Dwayne Wade makes 7 field goals in the game on 19 field goal attempts. He disappears for half the game. What I think you got to do if you're Miami is start Chris Bosh. I agree with some of the talking heads that you see on SportsCenter and things of that nature. You got to have Bosh in there at the start. He gave you 30 minutes off the bench, but he had nothing else off the bench. Joel Anthony is just a disaster on the offensive end right now against this team because they're so much quicker. The bottom line is he comes in, he creates more openings if he does for Dwayne Wade, and subsequently that helps out LeBron James also.
Now, a guy that did have a great game for the Heat, and you can't count on that every night, but Battier, 4 of 6 from three-point land. I mean, he came out on fire in the first quarter, and it built that big lead for the Heat to give them that momentum. But again, you can't, if you're Miami, you cannot run with this team. Just ask the Spurs, okay? You have that big lead, and you're cruising along, you think you're in good shape, and all of a sudden the Thunder get that one run or that monster jam, and like when Durant had that one jam, you just saw the lid go off the arena. You got to avoid that. And I think why I liked Miami in the first game is I thought the experience level of being in the finals last year. I thought Oklahoma City would come out a little bit tight, first game, national stage. And as I'm sitting there watching the game, having dinner, I said to myself, you know what an idiot. Why didn't I play first half on this? Because what I thought of was right. The experienced team coming off the momentum of those 2 games, they did come out quick, the Heat. But, Well,
one of the problems they had was, and this was in the fourth quarter, so it does deal with, maybe tired legs and all that also, and they don't have any bench. They had one guy over 10 minutes. I think Mike Miller had 10, and that was only the second guy off the bench the whole game. The bottom line is that they had a hard time with Oklahoma City's double high screens in the fourth quarter, and a lot of that had to do with tired legs. That'll probably be different in game 2. And by the way, your Miami Heat pick, they were down 6 with 2 or 3 minutes to go in the game. That goes either way. Yeah. It's a 6-point game with a 5-point spread, basically. Here's the bottom line for me. I'll wrap it up my part by saying this. I like the under. First of all, Cephalosha is the defensive MVP of this year's playoffs. They switched him to take on Parker in Game 3 against San Antonio. San Antonio never won another game. They switched him in the second half onto James. Dwayne Wade's not doing anything. Cephalosha got in James, under his skin a little bit, and James wasn't as hot from on the offensive end as he was before Cephalosha took over. And you've got Perkins in the paint 24, 25 minutes a game, who denied James when he was with Cleveland and Perkins was with Boston, and he's denying that inside drive again, at least in Game 1. At the same time, Westbrook's bought into distributing the basketball. They take longer on the offensive end over the last 5 playoff games than they were before that. So it all adds up to an under for me. And if you watch the game the other night, 199 points, and, a lot of that had to do late in the game with Oklahoma City starting to make their shots. So I think you find a game that ends up in the high 180s, maybe low 190s.
And Oklahoma City hit all of their foul shots in the final 2 minutes.
52% from the field, hit all the foul shots late.
And that's it. You did it, and I'll close it out here, but the one thing you said about, denying the lane, that's where the game was won for Oklahoma City. 56-40 advantage in the paint for Oklahoma City. If Miami's going to win this game, they got to slow the game down, and they've got to get more buckets inside. And I agree with you with the under. I think you're on the right side there. There you have it. Thursday night, Game 2, Scott says to take the under for his play. I agree with him. We're going to be back here, pregame.tv. We're going Friday night baseball, a couple hot baseball teams. Pittsburgh Pirates, Cleveland Indians. I've waited 20 years to say that about the Pirates. It's up next.